Good evening and namaskar. First of all, my apologies for not coming online at 8 o'clock in the evening as I had earlier mentioned. I had to travel about 60 kilometers from Chennai to meet a 8-year-old teacher who taught me mathematics. There are a lot of people who make a person what he is or what he will become, and teachers are certainly the most important amongst them. So I went and paid my respect to one such teacher who has just turned 8 years of age and was visiting his son. I have to only talk about a couple of issues. First and foremost is the PIL before the Supreme Court, which may be coming up for hearing on admission of the PIL tomorrow. I do not expect any miracles from the Supreme Court of India because the government will be represented at the top level of government lawyers. I will not be surprised if even the Attorney General is present in the court to oppose admission of the PIL. Have solid evidence. I do not know what kind of evidence you have to sustain your allegation that there had been leakage of online question papers in the past at least 15 months or so. Have solid evidence. Brief your advocates properly. I do not even know who the advocates are who will be talking on behalf of the PIL petitioners. I do not even know who the PIL petitioners are. My only advice is to have solid evidence and properly brief your advocates in full about what you think has been happening in the Staff Selection Commission. On one hand, it is a contention in the PIL. On the other hand, it will be the contention of the Staff Selection Commission. As far as the Staff Selection Commission's contentions are concerned, the present chairman has been giving frequent interviews after lying dormant for more than a week after you started the agitation on 27th of February. All the posts that he made on the website of the commission should also be handed over to the advocates because they have a lot of material information which can help the PL petitioners in the case. I do not even know whether there is one petitioner or more than one petitioner, despite whatever may be claimed on behalf of the Staff Selection Commission. And have a solid case because Supreme Court does not waste time. You may not be knowing that SLPs are decided in the course of just a few minutes each because the judges go through all the records before they come to sit in the court to hear a particular case in the Supreme Court, unlike in the High Courts where the judges often hear the parties and decide the outcome of the case. Whereas in the case of the Supreme Court, since the pressure on the court is very, very huge, they dispose of the cases in just a few minutes and they are very well prepared. And I am quite sure that the interviews which your representatives have given to the media and the interviews which have been given on behalf of the Staff Selection Commission to the media should also be given to your advocate to be produced as material evidence if necessary. All you are demanding is that there should be a fair and impartial CBI inquiry into the alleged leakage of question papers in online examinations conducted in the past few months. And you want it under the CBI, under the Supreme Court supervision so that there is expeditious inquiry. Unlike, as I understand from the posts you people have made on the Facebook, the OMR scam which was reported sometime in late 2015 was referred to the CBI by the then chairman, and the inquiry is still pending, and in all probability it has not even ended in any charge sheet against any individuals so far, though certain arrests were made. Be well prepared and brief your advocate, whoever he is, or brief your advocates, whoever they are, properly with all the materials, so that they are not found wanting. You can afford to have an agitation without proper leaders, but in the Supreme Court they will have no time to listen to meandering discussions, etc. Therefore, material should be produced instantly whenever they want. I do believe that you have a just demand as far as CGL 2017 Tier 2 examination is concerned, because of whatever has been appearing in the media. But what I believe and what may be found acceptable by the court may be different. The second advice I would like to give is, if the Supreme Court admits the PIL, you will have no other alternative but to withdraw the agitation. Having a PIL being fought in the Supreme Court and having an agitation on the same issue may not be appropriate. So go by whatever orders are given by the Supreme Court, and you have approached the highest court in the country, and therefore you have to have faith in them. And my advice to you will be to listen to whatever directions are given by the Supreme Court and obey them 100%. Because unless the youth have respect for law, unlike some of my esteemed junior colleagues who are occupying important positions now in the government, there will be no future for the country. Supreme Court is one of the most important democratic institutions in the country. Therefore, have faith in the Supreme Court and also obey whatever orders are given by them. I have to talk about the history of how things have evolved in the Staff Selection Commission. The Staff Selection Commission has a very recent history, because it was formed in 1975. The chairman, I think, was appointed in 1976. The first regional office came into existence in 1976, and a few others in 1977. And the first chairman, Mr. Saeed Hamid, was an IAS officer of the rank of Additional Secretary. He was never given the rank of Secretary, despite deserving it so much. Later he became the Vice Chancellor, Aligarh Muslim University, and retired from there after doing distinguished work. Even now people in Aligarh talk about the work done by Mr. Saeed Ahmed. So that kind of history and heritage are with the Staff Selection Commission. For the first 15 years, the Staff Selection Commission was on the right track. After that, unfortunately, things started meandering, and Staff Selection Commission started losing its reputation after 1990. And for some time there was no direction. There were court cases also, especially a very notable court case which held that zonal recruitment, which was being made by the Staff Selection Commission, was ultra vires the Constitution. And therefore there was a lull. There was not much of recruitment going on. And that was the time when I offered to take the post of Chairman, Staff Selection Commission, and I was selected after observance of due procedure laid down by the government. I was not picked up on random basis by somebody and planted there as the chairman. I was cleared by a committee of secretaries and joined in the rank of Additional Secretary. Within 15 days, I was also given the rank of Secretary to Government of India, which I held till I completed my tenure in early March 2013. And let me also tell you that there was no online application till 2009. The first examination for which online examination was introduced was at my initiative in CGL 2010, which was advertised in early 2010. The then chairman UPSC invited me for discussions on online applications and told me to go slow, because he said that UPSC had been considering online applications for a long time and they had not been able to come to any conclusion. My reply to him was that at some time or other it had to be introduced, and we introduced online applications keeping intact offline applications. So the candidates actually had the option of either applying online or offline. And I also introduced online payment of fees. There were a lot of issues relating to online payment, and it took considerable time to get the approval of the Controller General of Accounts. Nevertheless, ultimately we got it, except that I could not get approval for use of credit cards for payment of fee, because the then CGA was of the view that it was not advisable to allow use of credit cards, because according to him there were frauds in use of credit cards. I was not able to convince him that I had been using credit cards for a long time and I had not had any problem in their use. And we also introduced, even in late 2009, computer-based typing tests and also computer-based data entry test. And it took a lot of time to develop the software. We didn't engage vendors because that is the easiest thing to do, to throw around money and waste taxpayers' money, paying crores and crores where the work can be done by government organizations or internally within a few thousands or few lakhs of rupees. NIC helped me to develop the software for online skill test, typing, data entry, skill test, and also transcription of stenography. And it took considerable time once again, to test the software, which was done several times before we were convinced that it was working at least to the accuracy of 99.99%, with only 0.01% or even less than that being the margin of error, which we counted by having proper verification with reference to the type scripts or stenography scripts, etc., which were printed and kept in safe custody. The CCTV system, which was not even in use, was utilized properly, and I do not know whether it is still being used. And access control to the floors where confidential work was being done was strengthened. A lot of procedures were laid down to ensure that confidential work remained confidential. For the first time ever in a large examination, the IBPS conducted online examination, if I remember correctly, sometime in late 2011 or mid 2012. That was the SBI clerk's examination for several lakhs of candidates. For the first time, once again, a vendor could prove that he was capable of holding online examination on a large scale. And I was completing my tenure in March 2013, early March 2013. Therefore, there was very little time to prepare a software which was acceptable to the SSC, to go in for tendering, and then prepare a software, then test it, and then have the online examination. But by then, by 2011-12, we became the largest examination conducting agency in the country, overtaking the IBPS, which position was maintained in 2012-13 and later also. The SSC still remains the largest examination conducting agency, and one has to realize that it is quite challenging to conduct examinations for crores of candidates every year, whether it is offline or online. The only reason why I could not introduce online examination was paucity of time before I completed my tenure. And I left in March 2013. The gentleman who took over from me as the chairman later formed an expert group which advocated immediate online examination. And he kept telling me and also others that he had sent a proposal to the government, but unfortunately I don't think a complete proposal was sent to the DOPT by him before he demitted charge in December 2015. So that was the time that the present chairman took over. So we had been demanding online examination. You can see my Facebook post, and there are Facebook pages who wanted an agitation to be launched. In fact, I told one of the representatives that if they were launching an agitation for an online examination, I will also join the agitation personally in Delhi. That was a time when I was going to Delhi fairly frequently because of giving talks to large groups of students at the behest of an organization. And within my knowledge, the coaching institutes were also well prepared by end of 2015. They had developed computer labs, etc., to have mock tests on the computers in case the candidates, their students wanted them. And they had also developed mobile-based apps for taking tests on the mobiles. Their students did not need to go and take the examination in their examination hall if they did not want to. So there was a clamor all over the country for online examination. So that was the time that the present chairman joined. I have been with interest following the interviews given by him, and he has claimed that before he joined in offline examinations there was leakage of question papers. So if he has knowledge, what prevented him from instituting CBI inquiry? Why did he wait for such a long time to talk about it? And offline examinations were conducted by him after he joined also till the middle of 2016, when the SSC switched over to online examinations, which we all welcomed. In fact, I had posted on Facebook that it was a big risk that was being taken, but the step was very welcome, and I appreciated the courage of the present chairman in introducing online examinations for such large number of candidates. But if there had been leakage of offline question papers in connivance with the officials of the Staff Selection Commission during the 6 months of offline examinations conducted by him, what prevented him from initiating a CBI inquiry or coming out with the information publicly? Why should he now talk about collusion between some organizations and the SSC officials? Because no SSC chairman acts in isolation. When one is cornered, one talks a lot of things, but that should actually make sense. My advice to him will be to talk less and do more, as perhaps he started doing at the beginning of his tenure in the Staff Selection Commission. If somebody is fault, he has to be punished. If somebody had leaked, that person will have to be punished. But it is for the investigating agencies to prove that there had been leakage by the particular person or persons. You cannot resort to innuendos. You are not the only one who has a family who worries about your reputation. And everybody actually has a family which worries about his reputation. Each and every student who is agitating before the CGO complex for the past 12 days also has families which keep worrying about them day in and day out. So their families are as much important as your family, and the families of those against whom wild allegations are being made during discussions with delegations or individual students are also as much important as your family. I do respect the importance given by you to your family, but do give the same kind of importance to the families of others about whom you talk. Somebody, I think it is Mr. Chandan Datta, had messaged on my page saying that referring to his talk about leakage of question papers by coaching institutions. I do not hold any candle for coaching institutes. It is for them to defend themselves. But the issue is, you have initiated a CBI inquiry and you are talking as if you know what the CBI inquiry will conclude. So is it the message? Is that the right message that you are sending to the youngsters in the country who are all in the age group of 20 to 30 and are job aspirants about what the CBI does or can do or will do? When an inquiry has been instituted, let the CBI do their work. Who are you to talk about what they are going to find? Who is instigating or who is nurturing are issues about which everybody knows. You have instigated the students to agitate against you because you didn't care about them when they sent screenshots of alleged leakage of question papers. You had failed to give an opportunity of hearing to them. You have failed to interact with them through any source of any means, whether it is a social media or replies on the website or whatever. At least, your predecessor had a semblance of response. He used to receive emails and selectively used to respond. Even that was dispensed with. And your messages have been very, very few since you took over. There are not many messages from the chairman of the Staff Selection Commission, unlike in the past where there were periodical messages about the targeted date of completion of each stage of different examinations, etc., etc. All the students that wanted from you was a reply to the allegation that there had been leakage of question papers and you didn't care about them. So therefore their stand hardened. When the stand hardened, there were some people who might have supplied food, and people like me who, even without knowing what the demands of the students were supporting, because if students, thousands of them, are agitating against a particular organization, braving sun and rain and sleeping on the pavement in the night without proper toilets, without proper food, without proper dress, without proper drinks, including women, for several days, there must be some reason, and you had not cared about them during the first. What did you do in the first 1 week? Why did you start, giving all these press interviews after instituting the CBI inquiry? Tell me, first of all, do you require the DOPT's approval for writing to the CBI to cause an investigation? Your predecessor didn't, and his predecessor, that's me, never sought government's approval for referring anything to the CBI. When we felt that there was a prima facie case of cheating, either individually or in a group, we immediately referred the matter to the CBI. What prevented you from doing it? Why should you drag external agencies? Even without your referring, if they had a role in the leakage, the CBI will bring it out. Why make it a specific issue casting aspersions on everyone? I had very clearly said that if I had committed any mistake, knowingly or unknowingly, willingly or unwillingly, without my knowledge, I should suffer for that. But within my knowledge, as per my conscience, I had not committed anything whatsoever. And I had actually placed my the anecdotes of my life also, including my career, on the internet. There is no secrecy in my life. And all boys and girls who admire me know what I did when I was in college, what I did when I was in school, what I did in the academy after I joined, how I joined the IAS, who prompted me to join the IAS, and about each and every post held by me, etc., etc., all till 1999. After that, because of my eyesight, I have not been able to type long passages, and therefore I have not really followed it up. So nothing is a secret in my life. Why resort to innuendos? Why try to divide the students? I do not understand the strategy, because it's a very simple thing. They came to you with the hope that you will look into the alleged complaints of alleged leakage by somebody, because there is a long line. There is the SSC, there are officers in the SSC, then you have the vendor, you have the sub-vendor has different sub-centers, the sub-centers engage different people to supervise, and there are others also who are involved like security, etc., etc. Any person, might have been tempted to leak a few questions. All that was required from me was to look at things internally and tell them transparently why you believe that there had been no leakage. And since the replies were not satisfactory, since the replies were basically beating around the bush, they had no other alternative but to continue the agitation. And people like me had to support with a very painful heart, because I spent 8 years of my life in the Staff Selection Commission. Being a district magistrate is one of the most important assignments that an IAS officer holds. But I sacrificed being a district magistrate, that too of a very good district in North Bengal, Jalpaiguri, to join the Staff Selection Commission as regional director. Similarly, when the time came for me to become secretary, I preferred to join the SSC because I thought I would be able to contribute to the unemployed youth through the SSC rather than being a secretary who is normally subservient to the minister under whom he works or the Prime Minister. So these are actually some of the things I wanted to talk about. I am sorry, I do not like to be emotional, but the way things are being said, I don't care about me, because if somebody talks about me and if somebody believes that is his problem and not my problem. You have instituted a CBI inquiry and keep quiet till the report comes out. This is my advice to my younger colleague. There was a time when I used to joke that IAS officers do everything by seniority. Even if a group of IAS officers want to commit suicide, the senior most of them will first jump from the cliff and commit suicide, and the next senior will jump next, and so on and so forth. That is no longer valid. Everybody for himself is a motto in the civil service, and IAS is the worst civil service as far as I am concerned. The other services have a lot of unity among them, whether the members are retired or still in service. But in the IAS, it is everybody for himself. But my advice to him is to keep quiet till the CBI inquiry is complete. You talk about defamation. That defamation can be resorted to by anybody. You require government approval for prosecuting somebody for defamation, whereas a commoner or an organization does not require anyone's approval to initiate a defamation case against you. They can file a defamation case anytime. Of course, there are a lot of people who are born with a silver spoon in their mouth, and they believe that they can get away with anything. They can get away with anything. Some of them have even believed that they could get away with murder. Ultimately, law catches up with them. So you have initiated due process of law. Let the CBI inquire into the matter. And once again, as far as youngsters are concerned, my advice to them will be, please brief your lawyers properly if you want the PAL to have any kind of impact on the Supreme Court. First of all, it has to be admitted, then there will be material evidence produced, etc., etc. And later on, Supreme Court may agree to your demand or may simply say that CBI inquiry has been instituted in one case, let the report come out. If the report shows that your allegations are valid, at least partly or in full, then we will consider ordering CBI investigation into all kinds of possibilities are there. Be open-minded, but whatever are the orders of Supreme Court, obey them. Thank you. Good night.